Terry.
Could I have a stat sheet? Haven't had a chance to look at one. Thank you.
Terry, Sekou Smith from NBA.com.
Okay.
At some point, do you just get out of the way and let CJ do his thing down the course, down the stretch of this game?
Well, yes and no. I mean, obviously we try and get him the ball in places and have his teammates in right spots, but he wanted the ball, and he has the ability to make things happen with it. But obviously we went to him down the stretch, and he made some big plays. But yes and no. Spacing is important. You could call spacing getting out of his way as well.
Coach Andy Bailey from Bleacher Report. Kind of a follow-up to that. You guys fell down early, big, and it seemed like CJ kind of kept you afloat. What are you telling your guys after the tough first quarter?
Just stay with it. I mean, our offense was really poor the entire first half. Just keep trusting each other. I think trust was the biggest thing. That look, we got a lot of guys who are really confident, and they do trust each other, and generally we find a way. And like I said, the first half offense, it wasn't just the first quarter. I mean, it was not pretty, but you just know it's a long game. It's a game 7, and you have no choice but to keep fighting.
Terry, Kerry Eggers, Portland Tribune. What are your emotions after going through that 7-game series, and now you're in the conference finals for the first time in 19 years?
You know what? Before I answer that question, I do need to say I thought Mike Malone and his staff did an outstanding job. The Denver Nuggets had an outstanding season. No one saw that coming. With what they did in the regular season, winning close games, winning the division. Jokic is an amazing player. They're a young team. They're going to have a lot of success going forward. So they have my utmost respect on not only what they did in the regular season, but what they did in the playoffs. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that. So your question? My emotions? This is arguably the biggest win that we've had in the franchise for a long time. And to be a part of it, to do it the way we did, I'm thrilled. I'm really happy for our guys. As a coach, I think you experience the joy of the team. Having different guys come in, Rodney go down, Evan coming in, and he scored more points tonight than he scored in the whole series probably. It just to do it in different ways. Myers coming out, it's such a group thing. And as a coach, that's what you appreciate the most.
Coach, you called timeout about 4.5 minutes into the second quarter. You're down 17 points, 39-22. What do you tell your team at that point to keep them engaged when the frustration level had to be enormous?
Actually, they're engaged. There wasn't going to be any quit. I don't think they ever stopped believing. I didn't really have to say much. I don't know what I said, but I didn't have to say much because it was still early enough in the game where we've found ways to come out of those holes. So it was just about regrouping. And again, talk about the trust. And trust and competing are the two biggest things for us.
Terry Omyang, ESPN. In the first round, Dame kind of sealed that series, and then tonight it was CJ sealing the second round. What have you seen from these guys? They've long wanted to kind of be known and recognized as one of the best backcourts, and now you guys are about to face Steph and Clay.
It's a luxury to have two guys like that who can find ways to score in different ways. CJ does it in one way, Dame does it in another. On a night where Dame struggled shooting the ball, CJ came up big. That's what being part of a team. So those two guys, if one of them, mostly one of them's going to have something going. So you kind of count on that, and it was CJ tonight. But it's a luxury to have two guys who can score like that.
Terry, Michael Spencer from CBS here in Denver. You guys hold them to 2 of 19 from the three-point line. Did you do anything different defensively, or just cold shooting on their part?
I'd like to say that we closed out a little bit better, didn't give them quite the same looks. We didn't double team as much. We didn't give up any threes in transition. As far as missing shots, I think it's always a little bit of both. Some of it's our defense, some of it they missed some shots. Jokic hit those first two. I don't think we gave him any clean looks after that. But one of our focus defensively was closing out under control, said that, you can take away 3 and take away the drive, and I thought we did a better job with that. It's probably not so much their shooting percentage, but the fact they only took 19.
Terry, you've got a lot of faith in Evan Turner this year. Expound a little bit on the performance he gave you there in the second half especially.
Well, Evan quietly had a really good series. I know everybody kind of looks at his scoring, but that second unit, our second unit was really good throughout this series, all 7 games. We made runs with the second unit, and Evan was a part of that. His ability to guard Paul Millsap one-on-one on the post gave us the ability to space the court on offense and have him be a ball handler. He played the entire fourth quarter in Game 6. Played a lot of. I don't know if he played the entire fourth quarter tonight, but he was big. And Evan's been in big games. He's a big game player. He's got a lot of confidence. He's a team guy, and he kind of does whatever we need him to do.
Coach, you brought out a different lineup to start the second half. The second half was a completely different game. What were the strategic changes that you made?
Well, honestly, it was nothing against Mo or Chief. Our starters hadn't done well throughout this series, and especially on the heels of Game 6, where Rodney and Zach had an impact on the game. We were having trouble scoring, so starting Rodney and Zach seemed the right thing to do, especially with our season in the balance. So that to me wasn't too difficult a decision. In fact, Mo came in and gave us some really good minutes when we got in foul trouble. Myers coming in when Zach got foul trouble. So there was those guys that we didn't necessarily count on early. But as far as to your question about changing the lineup, that was. If Rodney and Zach hadn't done what they'd done in Game 6, maybe I wouldn't have done that. But it seemed like the right thing to do.
Terry, Joe Varden from The Athletic. Going back to post-Game 5 now, you're down 3-2. It was a rough one here. What was the mindset of the team then? And if you felt like this would be possible, what was it that made you feel good even after that one?
The fact that other than Game 5, every game's been competitive. And regular season, playoff game, they've all been very competitive. Going back home obviously gives you a little bit more confidence. And, we just played a poor game in Game 5. I mean, there's no getting around it. If we had lost a tough one, and you kind of look at what ifs, but we didn't play well. And I think we were able to push that aside because we didn't give it, I don't want to say effort, but we didn't play well. And that's why it's kind of easy to kind of forget about that one.
Okay, we'll wrap it up there.
All right, thanks everybody.